A walkability assessment is a tool used by a range of users and creators of a built environment. It identifies components of an area that are failing, issues in that area to be improved, and components of that area that are working well. Once identified, these items can be compiled into a report and developed into an action plan given to relevant governing bodies, such as a local council. Audits, such as walkability audits, are the first and necessary step in compiling health impact assessment for any proposal, as they offer the baseline from which any future data is weighed against. Audits come in many shapes and sizes. A quick look in your favourite search engine will reveal a multitude of audit tools for numerous applications. Walkability audits are a vital tool for any built environment or public health professional, as walking and a walkable city contribute to social health, physical health, and climate change mitigation, to name only a few of the many benefits. What audit to use? For the Scullin walkability audit, I have chosen to use the National Heart Foundation of Australia's Neighbourhood Walkability Checklist. I've used this tool for two reasons. Firstly, it is readily accessible, easy to follow, and it's from a trusted brand. In my opinion, these three factors make it a household level tool. It even comes with a template letter for writing to your local council. Secondly, its four major components of convenience and connectedness, safety, comfort, and friendliness very closely align with studies from author of Walkable City, Jeff Speck, who states that a walkable city will offer four things: a reason to walk, a safe walk, a comfortable walk, and an interesting walk. My walk began on a northeastern heading from an area proximal to my house, walking along a nature strip and quiet suburban roads. These suburban roads didn't have any pedestrian footpaths, but for this they were no less walkable. Where there were footpaths, they were of varying levels of quality and complexity, with areas of pedestrian and vehicular interface potentially difficult to navigate for persons of disability. Though this is not my usual route, I have attempted to emulate what could be a daily commuter trail, from home to the shops to get something for lunch, and then on to a bus stop along a major arterial road to catch an express bus to work. The question of aesthetics is entirely subjective. Fortunately, however, we have the walkability audit tool to keep us on track. The Scullin shop's back of house impacts most negatively on what the Heart Foundation calls walker friendliness, with broken glass, unattractive frontages, and graffiti and vandalism, all apparent in this small area. This contributes heavily to a score of only 3 out of 8 for walker friendliness. For most able-bodied commuters of this space, the negatives accumulated between numbers 1 and 6 aren't too detrimental to the comfort of the walk, particularly given the commute's short distance. It is number 7, however, that arguably causes the most discomfort. A consistent surface for prams, wheelchairs, and learner cyclists is most certainly broken by instances of car barriers and very steep grading, as seen in the images to the right. The area most negatively impacting the safety of this walk was the lack of pedestrian crossings at points of frequent pedestrian and vehicle interaction. The journey across Ross Smith Crescent could be made much more approachable if it were for a pedestrian crossing, particularly as this is a 60km/h road in immediate proximity to bus stops, shops, services, and schools. The same can be said for the crossing of Broadsmith Street to the north of the playing fields. This is a real safety concern. The matter of perceived safety, however, is just as important. Again, the Scullin shop's back of house impacts the perceived level of physical safety for this walk, particularly in hours of darkness. The same goes for the underpass under Southern Cross Drive towards the end of the walk. The question of connectedness is a tricky one. The portion of this walk to the north of the shop is definitely well connected to Southern Cross Drive and beyond. However, this connection is singular, with no other major paths in the suburb providing as good a connection to the shops as this. Aside from this arterial pedestrian connection, the two negative points against the convenience and connectedness of this walk are, I feel, trivial. The addition of pedestrian signage along all perceivable routes in Canberra's suburbs is not a realistic expectation. The same can be said for dog off-leash parks. Whilst walking this route, there were numerous dogs recreating on the Scullin Oval. With responsible owners, the addition of a caged-in space is not required. With a walkability score of 13 out of 27, adjusting for the non-applicable criteria, the Walkability Audit tool decrees that this route needs some work to make the walk more friendly. The 4 assessed sections have an average yes score of 49%. This result came about in a surprising way, as the comfort analysis of the audit was the lowest scoring at 28%, opposed to the section examining safety scoring 71%. From the onset of this audit, my personal bias was for this to be a comfortable and connected walk with low levels of actual perceived safety. The results are completely contrasting. As stated in the previous slide, I had anticipated the safety of this walk to be the component that most negatively impacted its walkability score. The only negative scores I recorded against safety, however, were infrastructure-based, not perception-based. Despite their appearance, I didn't feel unsafe walking by the shops. I discovered that they were well lit, and there were constantly people about. Conversely, the worst scoring component was the walk's comfort, again through lack of or poor quality infrastructure. Before looking at this area objectively through a tool such as this, I had no appreciation for the potential discomfort this walk presents to people of lesser ability than myself. The beauty of the audit tool is that this can be repeated, and through these surprising results, we can see that to truly get a workable data set of an area via a walkability audit or otherwise, multiple accounts from a diverse range of assessors is exactly what is required. In this way, personal bias and physical stature of the assessor can be ruled out as affecting the data collected. The walkability audit is a powerful tool, and through this particular audit, I now have a small evidence set to start building a case to petition for better walking infrastructure, if that were my intention. Or, I can use this data as a base point on which to gauge the success any potential development might have on the area's walkability through a health impact assessment.